I'm glad that you have chosen for me to speak on Vision 2020, leadership in the final push to Vision 2020. Many of us talk about Vision 2020, but we do not know completely what the vision is all about. We know roughly that it is about becoming a developed country. And Malaysia, by 2020, should become a developed country. But what is a developed country? We know there are lots of developed countries in the world. Obviously, they are far ahead of us in many ways. But to define a developed country is not so easy. Most people prefer a very simple definition. That is, that their per capita income should reach a certain level. Maybe 16,000 or 20,000 or 36,000. Then you become a developed country. But obviously that is not a good criterion, simply because there are lots of countries with incomes which are extremely high, but they are not developed. I wouldn't think you would consider Saudi Arabia, for example, as a developed country. It is still classified as a developing country. The per capita income is in the region at times of even $100,000, because the population of Saudi Arabia is about the same as that of Malaysia, but whereas Malaysia produces 650,000 barrels a day, Saudi Arabia produces 10 million barrels a day. And if you count in terms of dollars, for example, when the price of oil was $120 US dollars per barrel, and if you use the Malaysian currencies, is about Malaysian currency is about $500 per barrel, and you produce 10 million barrels. You do some arithmetic for me, you know, that's a huge sum of money. Divided by about 30,000 people in Saudi Arabia, of course, each one of them would supposedly be earning a very big sum of money. But that big sum of money per capita income does not qualify Saudi Arabia as a developed country. Averages, you know, are very misleading. I don't like averages. We talk about per capita income, which is the average income, but it doesn't give a fair picture of what you are considering. For example, and this I quote many, many times, and I think people are bored of hearing it from me, but I would like again to point out that in a group of 1,000 people, there is 1 millionaire. The rest are without any income at all. But the average income for that 1,000 people is $1,000. But it is only one man earning $1 million. So it's very misleading. Also, you know about the man who drowned in a river with an average depth of 2 feet. These things is very misleading indeed. So I don't like this per capita income. But then actually per capita income is not a measure of the stage of your development. If you want to be a developed country, there are many other things that you must have before you can qualify as a developed country. Of course, in the first instance, you must have a very highly educated population. Literacy should be 100%, but literacy at a higher level, meaning to say that many people would have university education, there would be many professional people, the number of doctors per 200 population should be 1 doctor per 200 population, and things like that. That qualifies somewhat what a developed country is all about. But beyond that, we need to have a country that is highly industrialized, because industry creates jobs, good paying jobs, and therefore people are less likely to be unemployed, because people in the first place would be highly educated, would be professionals, then they would find jobs in the industries, and they would of course be paid with high salaries. But beyond that, the industries themselves should be the modern industries, industries which reflect the state of knowledge of the people. We don't want an industry where you just put together some products, you assemble them, or you produce garments and things like that. That doesn't make you a very advanced country to be qualified as developed. The people, apart from being highly educated, would be very sophisticated. They would be, they would have good state of literature. They would be able to produce people who can invent things, produce things, and a lot of other things go into qualifying a country as a developed country. So I noticed that the present government keeps on harping on high income, as if high income would make us develop. And it is so easy to achieve high income simply by saying, well, we'll raise the minimum salary to 1,200. Yes, the minimum salary is high, but that doesn't make you a developed, contribute towards becoming a developed nation. In fact, if you raise the minimum salary too high, you may become very poor, because what you sell, what you produce, cannot be sold in the international market. So it is important that you understand properly what is meant by a developed country. Now, having defined that, can we say that we have come close to becoming a developed country? That by the year 2020, we would be a developed country? I have my doubts. I have my doubts simply because the focus is on per capita income, and it is totally artificial. Per capita income can be raised, and the productivity may go down, and you become actually poorer. So per capita income is not a measure of the stage of development of a country. In the next 5 years, you have to make tremendous effort to educate the people, to create a much more sophisticated society, to have people who are good in the literature, even in the performing arts, and of course you should have a good press, and I think a good sophisticated press which does investigative reporting, for example, and which strives to educate people rather than titillate people. That would be a good contribution towards a developed country. we have only 5 years. I have my doubts that we can achieve this developed status by the year 2020. This is simply because the policy has not been towards achieving the status of a developed country. All the talk is about high income, high income, high income, and no talk about productivity. If you are not productive, if you have high income, you have a high cost of living, people actually have to spend more money to buy less things, and basically they would be poor because their purchasing power is low. The figures don't count at all. If you are to change your currency to, say, rupiah, every one of us will become millionaire. But those are figures. What you can purchase with your money is what is important. And if you are able to increase productivity and lower costs, or at least if you increase the salary that is accompanied by higher productivity, then this country would progress towards becoming a developed country. At the moment, I have my doubt. Now, about leadership, I think if you look at countries, you will find that leadership plays a very important role. Look at China, for example. Well, Mao Zedong did a great job defeating the nationalists and setting up the government, a communist government of China. But for a long time, China was a very backward country, very poor country. It was not a developed country at all. And it took his death, and it took Deng Xiaoping, who gave the slogan, it doesn't matter whether the cat is brown or white, as long as it catches the mouse. It's a very simple saying, but it means a lot to the Chinese because they were so held back by their communist ideology that they just could not develop, they just could not prosper. But once you say it doesn't matter whether you are a thoroughbred communist or you are half communist or you are semi-capitalist or in fact you are a capitalist calling yourself a communist, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. But the main thing is whether you produce the wealth. And after Deng Xiaoping, the whole of China changed completely. That is an example of how leadership contributes towards achieving, well, China is not yet a developed country, but achieving progress towards becoming a developed country. Historically, one of my favorite character in history is Genghis Khan. Now, Genghis Khan was a leader of a small tribe, but by his personality, his drive, his understanding of strategies of warfare, etc., he was able to build a great empire extending from China in the east to Eastern Europe in the west. But of course, after 100 years, unfortunately, the Mongols sort of regressed. Then you have Peter the Great of Russia. Russia was a very backward country at that time. It was considered as an Eastern country. Even their table manners was not good. But Peter the Great decided that they should be equal to the Western nations of Europe. And he literally dragged Russia towards that achievement, and he succeeded. He succeeded in making Russia a great power with industrial capability, military capability, and had wealth more wealth than before. So the leader plays a very big role. And if the leader does not understand or cannot resolve problems or have no ideas, then it is doubtful whether progress can be made. You see, if a leader just cannot understand the problem, he cannot resolve the problem. A leader is because he has more ideas than his followers. A leader without ideas will soon find himself a follower, not a leader. So the role of a leader is extremely important, and the leader must have ideas, must have very wide knowledge of things, must understand human psychology and a whole lot of things if he is going to succeed as a leader, if he is going to drive his country towards becoming a developed country. So leadership is extremely important. And we were fortunate in that we had at the very beginning, for example, Tunku Abdul Rahman. He was a great leader. I didn't agree with him all the time. You know, at one time I was expelled from UMNO. I have been expelled from UMNO many times now. Now it's dangerous for you to see me. You see, I don't know why you invited me. You will have a black mark against you. This has happened to me during Tunku Abdul Rahman's time, during Tun Abdullah's time, and presently. So it doesn't show that the leadership knows any better than just to try and shut people up, shut their mouth up. So it doesn't make a good leader. But nevertheless, the contribution of people like Tunku Abdul Rahman, he was a great leader because he came up with the concept of sharing. That, you know, what happened in Myanmar, we are talking about the Rohingyas. When Myanmar as Burma became independent, the first thing they did was to expel the Indians, because the Indians controlled the economy of Burma, and they controlled the wholesale trade, the retail trade were all carried out by Indians. So in order to give these opportunities to the Myanmar people, they expelled all the Indians. Unfortunately, after that, they found they couldn't run all these businesses because they were more military people than business people. And now you can see them expelling the Rohingyas. That shows a dearth of leadership idea. If they had settled down and accepted these people, shared with them the country, lived in peace, then the country will grow. No country can ever grow when it is at war. What happens in war is that everybody loses. The winner loses, the loser also loses. So a good leader should strive to achieve peace and stability. But if you don't understand the psychology of the people, you might say, well, the easiest thing to do is to have freedom. But freedom is good for a lot of people, but for the extremist, freedom means he can do things which are not very good for society. And so you know the story of Charlie Hebdo of France. That's freedom. You run down other people's profit because you are free. But what is the result? See, and they get killed. So freedom has a limit. A leader who cannot tell the people, look, you can be free, but don't go around cursing other people's parents. You do that, there will be instability, and I will have to arrest you. So you are curbing freedom. But all laws in the world is about curbing freedom. You would like to steal, but the law says you cannot steal. You steal, I will arrest you, put you on trial, and put you in jail. So that is curbing your freedom. All laws are about curbing freedom. So if you want absolute freedom, we should do away with all laws. President Reagan thought that the government should not interfere with business. Business will manage itself, will control itself. But as you know, when he had less government interference in business, these things like the, what do you call it, the sale of houses and all that, subprime loans brought down the American economy. Powerful economy, but it was brought down by freedom. Because you are not controlling the business people, you allow them to do anything they like, and they like to make money. How they make money doesn't matter. It may be the Ponzi, or it may be the hedge funds, leveraging, borrowing 30 times their capital and things like that. That's what brought down the economy of America. It's great to be free, but if you don't know how to manage freedom, if your leader is not willing to be unpleasant, unpopular, but is concerned about the development of the country and is prepared to be unpopular in order to ensure that the country remains stable and peaceful so that everybody can enjoy a good life. If a leader does not know how to handle this thing, then of course the country cannot have peace, no development. So I think I have given you a fair idea about what leadership is about, what development is about, and how we should go about it. And I would conclude by saying that we are not really going to achieve the kind of development that would qualify us as a developed country by the year 2020. I thank you.